Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Hello, everyone in the house cleaning world. Welcome to True Grime Stories this week. I'm your host, Jeannie Henderson, and super excited to invite my friend Ashley Bender to join us here today. So Ashley is the founder of AMK Cleaning Services in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So she's right across the Big Lake, Michigan from where I'm located right now. And she started back in 2012 cleaning, but then turned it into a business in 2014. Evidently, she'd been dreaming about being an entrepreneur since she was very young. So I'm interested to hear more about that. But she's really dedicated to building a great team and serving her clients in a way that impacts their lives positively. She really wants to build a workplace where her team members feel supported and valued and empowered. I love that. That touches my heart. She's a wife and a mom of 5 boys. God bless her. And we're just really glad to have you here today, Ashley. Thank you so much for taking time to be on True Grime Stories with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jeannie.
Yeah, we are excited to dig into your story. So you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. What do you think kind of sparked that when you were a kid?
I mean, my grandparents had owned businesses when they were in their probably like 30s and 40s. So I think some of that kind of came naturally just from just family heritage. But yeah, my mom always said that I was bossy and always wanted to tell everybody what to do. So I think it just kind of natural to be a leader, even if it was from like a bossy standpoint. I don't know that when I was little, I knew exactly what it was going to be. I think we all have those where we're, the bracelets stand on the side of the road when you're 6 years old. And my cousin always jokes about how I would set up my bedroom as like a thrift store and I would try to get my brother and my cousins to buy stuff. And she's like, we didn't have any money. So yeah, it was kind of always things along the way here and there where I could tell that like I really enjoyed that. It's just, not knowing what it would eventually be.
Yeah, but being drawn to that. Yeah. So many of us in this industry are accidental business owners, like it was never our intention to own a business, but the fact that you already kind of had that in your heart, that's really cool that you were able to make it happen, because there's a lot of people who dream about it and they're never able to actually do it. So I love that. I know my son was like that. And I think we don't realize how much we rub off on our children and or grandchildren, when they're watching, right? Watching and learning all the time. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little scary, but
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. So you started back then. So when did you start adding employees in 2014?
Yeah. So a little bit of the kind of backstory. I was working for a lot of small local businesses, whether they owned restaurants. I worked for a photographer. So I had dabbled in a lot of different small businesses, and I found that what I really enjoyed was kind of their systems and process setup, working with their people. And I was going to go back to school, like I think everybody, and it was around probably 2008, 2009 when the economic downturn happened. And I had all these friends who had master's degrees and they couldn't find jobs to afford paying back their school payments. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I need to just relook at this and wait till my son goes to school. I was a single mom at the time and barely making ends meet. So I wanted to go back for graphic design. And I was like, well, I'll continue managing this restaurant and I'll just pick up some cleaning on the side. I loved to clean and keep things organized. I'd worked in housekeeping and it just kind of was the right fit. I could build it around daycare and my schedule and try to maximize having enough time to do things with my son so I didn't miss it. Because when I was growing up, my mom was a single mom and I always remember her saying, when I have more time, when I get done with school or when I get done with work. And it was just
Mm.
like, I didn't want to end up that way. I didn't want to miss all the moments. I didn't want to have kids that were craving this love and attention. And yeah, just kind of wanted to break some of those childhood traumas, I guess, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I was kind of like, there's got to be a better way. That was always what kind of rang through my mind. And so I started a Craigslist ad and, $20 worth of cleaning supplies. And I was like, well, I'll just figure this out. I'll make some extra money. And as it kind of grew, it was like, oh gosh, I need more help. So I think I started, I hired my mom. I think everybody starts out just hiring their friends and their
Their
family.
mom,
And
their sister, their best
oh
friend.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, anybody. I mean, if somebody would have been on the corner of the street and I needed help, I probably was getting desperate, as we got in a
Mhm.
couple of years. But yeah, so it just kind of naturally formed. And then it was all of a sudden I was kind of like, hey, I think we have something here. It was filling my cup to be able to be a mom and pay my bills. And I was attracting other people who needed income and that work-life balance. So it just kind of naturally formed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that a lot of us find it that way. It starts out as like, I just need to earn some extra money. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, people like what I'm doing. It's growing. And yeah. And then it's just that getting into that crazy part of building a team and, growing your business that way. So you started back in 2012, 2014, you're growing your business. And this is True Grime Stories. So we want to dig into your grime a little bit. And being an entrepreneur is tough. There's a lot of reasons why not everyone is an entrepreneur because
Oh,
it
for
is
sure.
hard, and it all falls to us. So when something goes wrong, this is the person who has to figure it out. When you were building your business, can you think back on a time when you were really struggling or hitting a plateau or, um, you know, about ready to give up and you had to
Oh my
figure out a
gosh.
way through it?
Yeah. I'm like, which time?
Yeah, which time? I'm sure we all have many grime stories.
Yeah. So I think I remember vividly, it was probably about 2014, 2015. We had grown way too fast.
Mm.
Um, we were cleaning out of my basement at that time. And I had just been diagnosed with a rare skin cancer that it
Oh my
was not, it was not cancerous. It was, one of those things where like it's 1 in a million. They said like you could get hit by lightning, but we have to make sure we, go in and get all of the tissue so that it doesn't end up continuing to come back and grow and turn malignant.
oh my
And
goodness.
I
Yikes.
realized at that moment that the business relied so much on me and I didn't have any of my life affairs in order. It was like, oh my gosh, if something happens to me, what happens to my son? What happens to this business? Like, so there were a lot of issues during that time, but that taught me that the business had to run without me. Um,
That like, what if I get hit by a bus thing,
yeah,
right?
it
Like,
was very much that. So
mhm.
fast forward, had the surgery, everything went fine. But that taught me a lot in just being proactive instead of having to be reactive. I just, was dealing with the fires as they were coming up. The other thing was that it had to get out of my house. It was just too much. So we moved out of
How
my
big was your
house.
business at this point? Like, how many people were how many team
Um,
members do you think you had?
that's a good question. I think we had probably about five. But again, they were coming in all hours of the day and night, and it was just like there was no break. Um, I
I
think we
started
had went from
very
like
much the same
35,000
way.
and yeah, and I think we were at about 35,000 in revenue at that point, like nothing earth-shattering when I first
Mhm.
started to it jumped up to closer to like 300,000 and it was just like, okay, like this if we're going to be a real business, we need to get out of our house. So yeah, so we moved into an office space which I guess kind of opened my eyes to the second realization is that overhead expenses, it was just like oh my gosh, now we have rent and utilities. And as we added payroll, it was like our insurance went up based on the payroll. And when all of those expenses went up. I remember getting to the end of the quarter because I think we had to pay in taxes quarterly, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we don't have the taxes." And we didn't increase prices fast enough. Like there were so many things that were very eye-opening, and just falling apart that
Yeah, what
yeah,
you can do when you're just running the business yourself, and all the money is basically going in your pocket, you have so much more control at that point, and
correct.
you don't have to charge as much, right? And I don't know about you, but did you find that like you valued your business based on kind of what you could charge when it was just you?
Yeah.
And then those prices carry over, but they don't work when it's not just you
No.
anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all. And then you add
I know
in
that
payroll
can
tax
really,
and yeah.
yeah, when it's just you don't have to charge for overhead, when you're running it out of your basement and all of that kind of thing. But then you move to an office and all of a sudden there's all these expenses and it's really easy for those to go up really fast. Cause like,
Oh my
oh, I
gosh,
want to
yeah.
decorate my office and oh, I want to have meetings and all of those things they add up
Oh, for
quickly.
sure. Yeah.
All right. So you're moved out of your house. That's a big win. And I'm sure that feels great. Cause I remember like people coming into my house when I'm standing there in my pajamas with my first cup of coffee in the morning. They would show up early and I'm like, why are you here so early?
Right? I'm not ready for this.
I'm not ready for you. My house did not feel like a home at that point. There was no privacy because I had people coming and going all the time. And, but then you move to an office. Now you are dealing with the management of your funds in a completely different way. So how did
Yeah, it
you
was it was beautiful because in one hand, we got, some privacy and lifestyle back from not having it bleed so much in and out. But then the next issue was, controlling cost and realizing that I had no idea what my numbers were or how to read them or how to make them make any sense, like how much to be charging, all of that stuff. Yeah, very big education crash course and almost humbling too. I remember sitting down in the middle of a deep clean that I'd underbid and I was just bawling.
oh,
And because I knew I wasn't going to make anything on it, but I still had to get it done because obviously our integrity is like we said we're going to do the job, we're going to get the job done. But those are also some of those like really important foundational moments where like you kind of learn through the struggles and you just don't make those mistakes again.
yeah. Well, and that's where success comes from is the learning from the mistake, right? I'm not charging enough. I have to figure this out. How do I figure out how much I should be charging? So when
Right.
you first started, and I think this is really key because your top line number is such an important number, your revenue number, to determining what your bottom line number is. And
Hmm.
yes, you have to control the expenses in the middle, but if you are not charging enough on the top line, it's going to be almost impossible to end up with profit at the end.
Oh, for
So
sure.
back, reflecting back on that, how did you decide what your pricing was back then?
Oh my gosh.
When
The increase or like where we
no,
started?
before price when you
Yeah,
weren't
before we
making enough
started.
money, how
Oh my
did you
goodness.
decide? How did you price things? I think pricing
Yeah,
is such a
so
huge issue for many, many people.
it is, and there's so many components that go into it, and there's fluctuations that you have to be monitoring it and checking it. Like, I mean, you could probably do it daily, but you'd lose your mind, right?
Right.
But yeah, naively at that time, I was like, well, I want to make approximately this much per hour, and if I'm going to have a helper, I want them to make about this much, and here's what I think my supplies are, and I set it and I forget it for, what, 2 years, and it was like I didn't take into account, the natural progression of inflation and just all the different things. You give people a raise, but you forget that you didn't raise your prices, you forget that you added on something new to the office, and it's just it gets out of hand really quick. So it is really
Mhm.
important to be kind of taking a look at all of those details and monitoring it so that you can increase it as expenses increase.
Yeah. So when you first had that first recognition of, oh, wow, I just got through a month that seemed like a busy month, seemed like we did well, but or a quarter or end of the year. And here I am, I don't have the money to pay my taxes.
Yeah, no, it was a nightmare. By the time I'd realized that there was a problem, I wasn't even sure how to get out of it. So I ended up meeting with like some local business organizations that help with, some free coaching. And
Mhm.
then I had a business friend who helped me go from kind of quoting it in a different form of more of a flat rate quote. Like obviously you still figure in your prices and such, but it was a better way to package it and make it easier to understand and control it. So that was really pivotal. And then just ripping off the band-aid and realizing like if I don't make these increases, I won't be able to put food on the table and I won't be able to continue employing the people that I have. It was like it wasn't
Mhm.
about me anymore. It was about my responsibility to the rest of the team and my family. And
Mhm.
I was like, if that means we're going to lose a few clients, that's so be it, I guess. Because I mean, we had to almost double our prices. I had way underestimated for so many years. Yeah, and
Wow.
I think I was more scared that we were going to lose everyone, and it wasn't as bad as I had thought it was going to be. Like, yes, some left, but when you raise your prices and those stay, you're getting paid more for less work. So, you just add new people.
Right. Yeah. But I think this is a place where so many people get stuck and either they stay here and they just slowly die, right? Because
Yeah,
eventually there's not enough money to hold that business up anymore, or they make that realization, they, rip the band-aid off and they start doing what needs to be done to raise prices. So, raising prices, I think, is one of the biggest, hardest steps that new entrepreneurs find that they have to make because most of us aren't charging enough when we start.
oh,
I
for sure.
very rarely meet someone who is charging what they should be charging to run an actual business with insurance and an office and all of that. Like most people are not charging enough. So that is a really huge step and one that many people never overcome. I meet people who have big businesses, like a couple hundred customers, and they're still not charging enough.
Yeah,
And they aren't profitable. And they're showing up to work every day and they're not even paying themselves.
yeah.
And that's sad and a disaster. So I think it's really a great grime story for people to hear because it's one that almost everyone has to live through in this industry at one point or another.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I still have difficulties with it. I mean, I'll be fully transparent. I am not the one that can do the price increases because I'll be like, "Oh, well, little old, Susie and Hazel who've been with us for, 10 years." I'm like, "Let's just skip raising the price on them." And I mean, it's often only 3 or 5%, but I think that was one thing that helped over the years is just having somebody else look at it and look at the numbers because they're not as emotionally attached to what's happening.
Hmm.
So yeah, so the first one was really hard because I was like, well, but we can't move Hazel's price up. And then someone's like, do you want to have food on the table for dinner? And I was like, okay, yeah, okay, well, we have to increase it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Our loyalties tend to be in the wrong place sometimes, don't you think? Like
Oh, for sure.
we're so loyal to these clients, like, and are they loyal to us if they're going to leave if we raise our prices? Is that loyalty? Probably not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right.
So you had to raise your prices almost double. About, if you when you were doing that, um, what would you say, like how many people did you lose? Or what percentage
Hmm,
of people
Gosh.
walked away when you said we have to charge more?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that was doubling, and I mean, would never recommend, I mean, if you have to, you have to, but I probably like I did it all at once. I probably looking back would have staggered it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
still,
That's like one of the number one things I always tell people, like spread it out. Don't do it all at once.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. However, surprisingly, I still don't think we lost more than maybe like 10 or 15%. So when you really like of course we go to the worst case scenario and I'm like everybody's going to leave, I'm going to have to start all over. I mean, even half even if 50% would have left, we still would have been able to like, it still would have been better, right? Because everybody's prices were up. So 10, 15, even 20%, I'm like, it was almost like a no-brainer. Was almost mad at myself that I hadn't done it sooner. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
generally, it's like those tough conversations where we avoid it and we avoid it, but we think about it and we're worried about it. And then once we finally have it, we're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. It's like, just
Yeah.
get it
And I,
done.
I think we assume that we know how the customer thinks and feels about pricing. And
Yes.
one of the things that I always talk about when we talk about sales is that the purchasing of cleaning is an emotional purchase. It is not a logical purchase. It's not, I'm not
Right.
basing this on logic. I'm basing this because I want it.
Right.
And
Well, and someone else told me one time, they're like, don't make decisions out of your own checkbook or your own like
oh, I
pocket.
like that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because there's so much that is relative to each person for how much they would spend or how much they think something should be, you know? So,
Well, and many times they have gotten quotes from other cleaning people and they know what the market will bear for pricing and they know they're getting a screaming deal from you, but they're not going to come say, "Hey, raise my prices. You should charge more."
right.
I actually
Right.
told my hairdresser that and she goes, "Your friends aren't going to like that who I cut their hair." And I'm like, "I don't care. You should be
Yeah.
charging more."
I said that to
Um,
our we have a lady who comes in to trim the dog's nails and I was like, I think your prices need to go up. And she was like, "Oh, you think so?" And I said, "Absolutely. Yeah." I'm like, transparency. I'm like, I'd probably pay double. Like I would not let go of you, and I think that is, it's really important to hear that because I think we always devalue things internally for our own, but when
mhm.
someone tells you that they value what you do and that you deserve more for it, I think that's important.
Yeah, yeah, we really have to charge what we're worth. And this goes back to your dedication to your team. Because if you aren't doing this, if you aren't raising your prices on a regular basis, and especially, charging the right price, you won't be able to deliver that workplace experience that I know is so important to you and many of our friends in the cleaning business. So
Yeah, no,
I
you're
love this.
100% accurate.
Yeah. So I love this discussion because this is so pivotal for so many people that either you get through this or your business doesn't make it. And you're working for nothing, which I see all the time. We don't want to do that. So I'd like to take a little break here, but then come back and talk about when you're charging right, what that looks like in your business, because it's life changing, not just for you, but for everybody. And so we'll come back here in just a few minutes. But right now, let's take a little break and hear this message from Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Is your cleaning business a grime story? There's no need to stay stuck in the muck because you're not alone. With over 500 active members and more than 500 graduates of our Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, CBF is the #1 cleaning business academy in the world and has created more mop-free millionaires than any program in the industry. Learn more and let CBF take your residential cleaning business from a grime story to a gleaming success. Well, welcome back, everyone, to True Grime Stories. I'm here with Ashley Bender, and we are talking about the importance of charging what you're worth and what you need to, getting your pricing right. And now I want to hear about the results. So, back then, this was like an early story that we were talking about, that grime scene of, oh my gosh, I get to the end of a tax period and I don't have the dollars to pay my taxes because I'm not charging right. But, fast forward to today where you are staying more on top of price increases and keeping up with the market. What does a business look like when you're charging the right prices? Like, what's the
Yeah.
difference for you?
Yeah, so I remember someone once asked, I don't know if they asked me or they told me, they probably told me, you can be the lowest price or you can be the highest priced. but that's where you're going to compete, right? So you're going to compete on value, or you're going to compete on being the lowest price. And I was like, well, the lowest price doesn't sound fun.
You
Been
don't want to
there,
be
done
that
that.
one. Definitely
Yeah.
not that one.
So now, I mean, I'm very proud of the fact that we are the most expensive. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it is. It's one of those things, because I'm like, what that means and what we're able to do in the community with philanthropic efforts, for causes that are near and dear to us, what it means for our people. You know, they have opportunities to do things with this job as a career that they can't get in a lot of other places. And then the flexibility, it kind of goes back to obviously my heart of just being able to have that time freedom with their family and not miss moments, which I think is hard to come by nowadays. So yeah, it's been quite the journey, and really, really beautiful. Just the opportunities that charging the right price can allow for a business.
Right. Yeah. So in the workplace, because I know this is something that's really important to you, what are some of the things that you're able to do for your team um, as a result of, charging the right price and creating a profitable business?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We really took a deep dive in making sure that our opportunities with like PTO, and we have a pretty aggressive parental leave for men and women when they're having children, and being able to be home and get paid and spend that time, because I do feel like that really does make an impact for the family. We're able to do a lot of different events to get friends and family together. We're able to, gosh, I'm trying to think of all the things right now off the top of my head. Um, One of the things that we're working on right now is we're finding that a lot of our staff are struggling with mental health,
Hmm.
and we're going to enact that they have 6 visits that they can go and just go and see someone and get help and support. And then we'll take care of the cost for that.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
and those kinds of things only happen when you have everything else in order, right? And having your
right,
prices right. And I'm sure that just the rate of pay that they're getting on a regular basis is much healthier than it would be, if you weren't charging the right prices. So you are able
right.
to provide that for your team. And that's great. And you can't do it without. And I talk to a lot of cleaning business owners, and I'll say, why do you want to start a cleaning business, or why did you start? And they'll say, because I really want to provide great jobs for, you know, young parents, or, you know, I want to help women, or there's a lot of different reasons why people start their businesses, but the top line dictates what else you can do. And if your top line isn't right, everything else is thrown off. Not that the other numbers aren't important. They can throw you off too, but getting that revenue number is so right. And it's not about whether you like a client or not, or if you care about them or not. It's about everything has to work together. And I love that you shared that you didn't lose all your clients when you nearly doubled your prices.
Right.
And and we always assume the worst.
Well,
And
and even there's some that, they did go away temporarily, but what I found was that they ended up coming back later on.
oh
Because they
yeah.
go and they test the market and see what else is out there. And at the end of the day, people like to work with people they know, like, and trust. And when you've built a
Mhm.
relationship with them, you hope that it's going to be about more than just the cost.
Mhm. Mhm. And they go out there and they find that other people are charging also fair market value for the services that they're providing. It's not that you were asking for something ridiculous. They just had to go out there
Yeah.
and find it out for themselves. So that's a great story for all of us to learn from. So what is your price increase strategy now? How do you know when you're going to
Yeah.
raise prices? How do you do that? You say you talked about staggering them, because I'm sure you are in the hundreds of clients now, so you can't send out
Right.
300 price increases all at once.
Yeah.
So
So
what's that
we've got a
strategy look like?
master. Yeah, we've got a master document that we keep track of. When did we increase them last? By how much? And then typically 3 to 5% annually. Um, lately it's been a little bit more with just the rising cost of everything and inflation. I think we've had to do 2 price increases this year. And typically we try to do it at times when business is at an influx for us. So we're not doing it in a slow time of year when we really would be hurting for those accounts. The other thing I'll pay attention to is our staffing. So if we're overstaffed, or I'm sorry, understaffed, that's also a good time for us to do an increase, because if I have less clients, I don't need more staff.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other thing, I love kind of paying attention to what's happening. So like when I notice that like Netflix is doing an increase in their annual cost, or you get the email notifications of what the reasonings are, and quite frankly, I typically send those over to my office and I'm like, "Hey, let's take a look at these talking points and let's start forming our letter together," of because typically the similar situation is happening across the country and the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so usually I can kind of, it's no surprise then when YouTube TV is going up and Netflix and all of the different subscriptions, people are not necessarily surprised then when a price increase comes. So that's usually a good indication that it's time to do something too for me.
I love that philosophy, because I think we often will live kind of in a vacuum in the cleaning industry and think we can't raise our prices, but like every other thing that we're using in our lives, the prices are going up. And sometimes they
Correct.
notify you and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you just show up at the store and a pound of butter costs $1 more. And
Right.
you know, they didn't
Right.
call you and say, "By the way, when you come in, the butter's gonna be $1 more." No, it just went up. And
Yeah.
we need to be, as business owners, as proactive about pricing as everyone else is. There's nothing wrong with it. It is part of being a good business owner, but many of us find out, and I did too, the hard way. At the end of the month, there was nothing left, and
Yeah, it can be
I had to
scary.
figure out where to go get that money. Yeah. Yep, it can be really scary. So now you've got your team rolling, your pricing is right. What's the future hold for the growth of your team? Where is your team at now? How many team members do you have? And kind of like what's your vision for the
Yeah.
future?
Yeah, we've got roughly 30 to 35 people at any given time. It fluctuates. We've got a handful of remote team members as well overseas, and
Mhm.
2 in the office. And yeah, at this point, um, I think you can kind of tell like people are near and dear to my heart. So providing jobs to people so that they can live better and improve their quality of life with their family, because I feel like children are our future leaders and they're going to change the world in ways that we can't even foresee. So making sure that their childhood is really impactful is important to me. And obviously I'm like, you can't touch everybody, but I'm like, I've got this little world of
Yeah.
my own that I can impact. And we're in more of a rural area in Wisconsin. We're about 90 miles east of Minneapolis, and my focus is to grow towards the cities and kind of a probably about an hour radius around where we currently are.
Mhm.
So we've got some satellite offices, and we're working on growing in those territories. I've got about 5 right now. So
Wow.
yeah, they're
Really?
not actually like up and functioning by any means, but we've
Mhm.
got a
Mhm.
little hub office there so that
Mhm.
we're building the foundation so it's ready when
Mhm.
we've got the business there.
That's exciting. That's very
Yeah, it's
cool.
super
Yeah, that's
exciting.
great. But it is so great that we as business owners, and it's such a opportunity for us to impact the world in our circle of influence. And it's that pebble in a pond kind of thing. If you impact the lives of your team members, it impacts their children and it could have generational impact in their families. If you're lifting them up from into a different standard of living or a different level of education, all of those things. So that's really cool. Well, you are inspiring in the way that you love and take care of your team. And, it's not, even though we have to make money, the money is the
Right.
thing that allows us to do these amazing things and impact people's lives, that,
Right. Yeah, it's a tool.
yes. Yeah. And so it's not evil. It does so much good. We just have to manage it. And then knowing your numbers and understanding your pricing is such a big part of it. So we have a lot of new cleaning business owners and, business owners kind of trying to find their way listening to True Grime Stories. So what's something that you've learned, or what's some piece of advice that you want to share with our audience before we leave today?
Um, I thought about this a little bit before we got on the call, and I think it has to do or surround holding the vision. And everybody's vision is a little bit different for what they want to get out of their business or what causes they support. So what I mean by that is just, setting up your mission, your vision, your values, and finding the right people that can sit in the right seats to support that. So every time we hire someone, every time we fire someone, when we're creating new systems and processes, we really constantly bring those pieces back. It becomes, the bricks to the whole company. So getting the right people in the right seats was really important. And I think that starts with your mission and your vision of what you want to bring in the world and accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So finding people who are aligned with that is the first step to getting them in the right seat.
Yeah.
Or knowing that they're the right person to be on your team. Yeah, that's great. And so many people skip that step. We jump in and we just start doing things, and then we realize, well, how come I'm not attracting great people? Like, why am I attracting all these people I really don't want to work with? But I'm sure that you've put your mission and vision out there, and that's kind of how we attract the right people.
Right. The synchronicities line up, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the more we talk about it, the more it becomes about. Yeah, it's almost like jumping in the car and not putting anything in the GPS and just kind of walking around a little aimlessly. It's like you have to understand who you are and where you're going to be able to invite people along on the ride.
Yeah. I found that too. The more I talk about what I see in the future, the more people come alongside me and help me get there. Whenever I
Right.
become withdrawn about my dreams, then all of a sudden I'm wondering, like, gosh, why is my business faltering? Why are we flat? Why aren't we growing? And it's because I'm not vision casting
Yeah.
enough.
No, I agree with that. I think it was probably about a year ago, I realized that I stopped talking about the dream and the vision with the whole team. It was just a select few here and there.
Mhm.
And when I started talking about it again, you could see people lighting up and they wanted to be a part of that. And the other thing that I found out that was profound was taking a moment to understand their dreams and seeing how I could fit their dreams in my dream. They really
Mhm.
started to want to grow and take effort. And there's a book, The Dream Manager, I just got done reading, and that was amazing. It touched on a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just got goosebumps because it is so true. We're not just chasing our dream. We're helping a lot of other people chase their dreams and fitting their dreams inside of yours. I
Right.
love that. That's so good. Well, thank you, Ashley. This has been such a good discussion and such an important part of setting your business up for success when you're talking about getting your pricing right. So I'm glad you brought that up today. That's a big one. So,
Thanks.
yeah, it's a big one and it can cause such a mess in people's businesses. So, thank you for being here today. We really enjoyed having you on True Grime Stories.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And to our audience, I want to thank you for being here. And you are the ones that are keeping True Grime Stories going. So be sure to subscribe, download, and share this episode with your friends. Come back and see us again the next time here at True Grime Stories. And if you want to learn more about how to be more successful in the cleaning business, I'd love to talk with you. So there's a link in the show notes, and you can set up a free call with me. I would love to meet you and hear about your business dreams. So we'll see you on the next episode of True Grime Stories. Bye, everyone. That's a wrap on today's True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us in uncovering the secrets of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download, and check out our show notes for links and info from today's episode, and to learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Join us next time as we solve another True Grime story.